Fire began on this planet back, way back, before humankind even existed. And yet there's plenty we still don't know about how fire actually works.
We've used it, we've tamed it, we cook with it, but there's so much of it that we still don't understand. As scientists, we're still arguing over some of the basic questions like what makes a fire spread faster when the wind blows? What makes live fuels flammable? Why fires burn faster when they go uphill? So many unknowns. I call it job security.
For all that we don't know, what we do know is the main model that we use to determine how quickly a fire will spread is 50 years old.
We don't have the tools sufficient to meet the challenge of today's fire.
So they're making a new model.
The hope is the model would represent a leap in understanding of fire behavior.
What if we could reverse engineer wildfires and replace a model known as the backbone of all fire behavior models for a new one? I mean, it could go up in flames, or it could completely change what we know about fire. This is Just Might Work, a show about surprising solutions to our biggest problems.
Mark interview?
I lead the fire behavior team, that's correct. I want to put that in context though. I lead the fire behavior sciences team here at the Missoula Fire Lab. Our team consists of about 15 people.
Mark Finney hired me right out of grad school. So the short answer of what I do is that I get paid to think and burn things for a living. Jason Forthover is a mechanical engineer, and he is the one that's responsible for bringing all the things that we learned and putting them into the model.
Jason kind of started this whole effort, and all it took was a live pine needle on fire.
When I started doing the original coding that became the fire spread model, I wanted to look at how a pine needle reacts to heating. I started programming that up. Then I started working with Mark and realized it'd be cool to put together a fire spread model based on this idea.
When you think of wildfires, news reports of devastating flames like the ones in Australia and California might flood your mind. But our first introduction to wildfires on a national campaign level happened in a more child-friendly way. And his name is Smokey Bear.
One day these rats were playing in the woods. Well, it's some matches and that's no good. Listen to Smokey before you give it a try.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Don't play with fire.
The original message was to prevent careless fires. As all messages eventually are consumed and simplified in their understanding, it became simplified to the point where it's not about careless fires anymore, it's about all fire.
Smokey Bear is specific to human-caused fires, but other fire management decisions and climate change over the past century led to the fires that we see today.
We've had an unintended consequence of putting all those fires out for the last 100 or so years. And now our fires are getting bigger and worse and more intense than they've ever been before.
Fire!
The work that we're doing right now is going back and questioning everything we ever thought we knew about fire and finding out that the things that we thought we knew were wrong.
Wildland firefighters and fire planners all around the country use a 50-year-old model called the Rothermel model to predict how fire spreads. This model is the foundation for the fire danger system, which determines how we deploy resources to fight fire. It gives reasonable calculations for expected fire behavior. The problem is, it wasn't meant to actually explain how fires spread.
Dick Rothermel was a scientist here at the Fire Lab from the very earliest days. Prior to 1972, there were no practical mathematical models or relationships to do any kind of quantitative prediction about fire.
It was the first of its kind, so not only did it give us a good picture of what a fire is going to do, but it also told us a lot about how fires work.
Wow, this thing will predict fire behavior. I'm really onto something.
The spread equation that Dick Rothermel developed was exceedingly useful as a modeling tool, but it came with a host of assumptions and limitations. It never intended to explain how fires spread. The difficulty of producing a substitute for the Rothermel spread equation, it's to produce something that is so much better. It compels us.
The new model is available in beta form for now, and it's made to run on any computer, so anyone in the field can use it. Firefighters will have to add in simple measurements that reflect the weather, fuel, and topography of the area, and then by entering in a bunch of variables like air temperature, wind speed, and fuel type, it'll give an estimate of how long it'll take for that fire to spread.
And what you're going to see is a pretty crude depiction of the fire spreading. So this is like a side view of the fire, and we're going to be looking at the flame represented by this triangle right here. What you also see is the temperature of the fuel particles out in front of the fire, and that's really the essence of how this fire spread model works.
If it works, the new model will be used by the Forest Service and fire management to essentially become what the Rothermel model was, but more of a 2.0 version.
So the goal is eventually to have this model to the level where a firefighter could pull up a map on a computer, drop a point in ignition of a fire, and then see how the fire spreads over time. Then we'll move to a really nice user interface where people can easily simulate fires anywhere across the United States. The ultimate goal of anything that we do here is to make positive impacts on what happens on the ground.
My name is Faith Ann Heinch, and one of my tasks is to develop curriculum that is taught all over the U.S. to firefighters, dispatchers, and fire planners. We do want to make sure that we're always teaching the best available science, and we're doing it in a way that reaches the audience that needs it, whoever they are. All of them are going to need training in the new model.
We've actually assumed responsibility for explaining to people, here's how fire actually spreads, here's how it's represented in the model with fidelity to those real processes. And that means that responsibility translates to training materials and the way we teach it. So that's equally as important than just some model.
The new model is projected to be in the hands of firefighters and fire planners by about 2027, and their priority is making sure that what they've built is giving accurate results.
It's really important that we focus in now on making sure that our model is comparing well to our lab data, and so then we have confidence to use it out in the field. I feel like it's going to work. For the first time in years, I see the light at the end of the tunnel.